Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to British Esports Association's Twitch channel. I'm, of course, Elliot. I'm a Schools and Colleges Liaison Officer, and I am not a woman. Surprise, surprise to many of you who are expecting a Women in Esports stream today. This will, in fact, be a Women in Esports stream. However, I'm just here to introduce today and also to show my face because I haven't been here for a little while and I get a bit jealous and people come on my channel. So I hope you're all well. I hope you're enjoying your Thursday. I think this is the first time I've ever streamed on a Thursday as well. Hello in the chat to those of you who are saying hello. I appreciate you guys being here. We've got some pretty cool content with you, and I'm wasting time at the moment, but I just wanted to say before I shoot off and leave you guys in the very capable hands of our guest today, that in a couple of weeks' time, we've got our Rocket League All-Star Showdown that I'm really excited about. It's going to be some of the best Rocket League content that we've had throughout the year, taking place in a elimination bracket, so please do tune in for that tournament. And of course, if any of you missed it, which I'm sure you didn't, our grand finals was held on the 3rd of July, so 2 weeks ago now. It feels like a lifetime ago already, but of course you can go check out all the stream highlights, the VODs, the reviews, and all the pictures have all been released as well. So if you are interested in any of that, please do go and check it. I'm sure somebody will post the link in the description. If not, I will do it in a moment. So without me wasting any more of your time, I would love to introduce you to Emily Perkins, who's going to be our host today, and she will take it away. So enjoy the stream, everybody, I guess.
Hi, welcome to another Women in Esports stream. My name's Emily Perkins, also known as Perks, and I'll be your host for today's stream. I've recently arrived on the esports scene in a slightly strange manner. If you don't know, I was mistaken on Twitter for Cloud9's mid laner, C9 Perks. And since then, a lot of amazing things have happened to me, including me working with Cloud9 on their Play Together campaign over Easter. So what you might not also know is in my normal job, I'm a teacher, and all that's happened to me has got me really excited to create an esports club across my secondary schools that I work at. And that sort of led me to the British Esports Association. I really want to inspire young people to follow their dreams, take up a career in esports. And if that's what they want to do, I just want, it's a great opportunity for me to show people how they can perhaps progress in a career. So I'm really excited to present the show today. For those of you who don't know, the Women in Esports is an initiative set up by the British Esports Association in 2019 to promote inclusivity and diversity throughout the esports industry. One key focus of area is women in esports, and it's to celebrate some of the pre-existing talent working within the industry. At Women in Esports, we're always wanting to educate individuals on different roles within the industry, whether they're more public-facing or those that are behind the scenes. So today we'll be shining a light on some of the great talent working within the esports industry, and more specifically, the tournament admin and operations side. So today I've got Stacey Holbrook, which is the Regional Esports Manager at EGL, and also Jasmine Veracity Kanuga, freelance esports stage host, caster, interview and tournament admin. So welcome, guys.
Hey.
Hi. Hope you're both well today.
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm pretty excited. I'm excited to inspire young minds.
Yay. So for those of you who don't know you, can you just give us a brief introduction of who you are and what you do?
Stace, do you want to go first?
I'll go first, yeah. So I'm Stacey. I am the Regional Esports Manager for a company called EGL, and I manage Europe. So anything that happens in Europe within EGL, our company, I'm the one that manages it all.
I'm glad you said within the company, because managing Europe would be quite a big job.
It's very hard.
So my name's Jasmine. As you mentioned, I kind of started off as an esports admin, kind of grinded my way through that, became a tournament manager for Insomnia, adminning CSGO events, and yeah, it kind of just went from there. Like after doing like the Face It Major and things like that, I kind of had continued setting myself goals of what I wanted to achieve in esports. And after kind of doing that, I was like, okay, what's one thing I've always wanted to do next? And that was stage hosting. So now I do hosting and interviewing and dabbled in casting as well. But day to day, I do social media management in esports. So yeah, my life revolves around esports.
Fantastic. So just wondering, like, how you started to get into esports. So right at the very, very start, because as we were discussing, I don't really know anything about esports. I didn't know it until this year. So it'd be great to know for young people how they can sort of develop in the very early stages. So Stacey, if you could go first.
Yeah, so we're talking 10 years ago now since I first started in esports. And that was ranging from me just playing Call of Duty with some friends. And it was then speaking to these people online. And it was really them 2 or 3 people that I spoke to online who then sprouted my journey into esports. They invited me to an event that was happening soon in, I think it was Sheffield. And it was actually an EGL event that was happening at the time. And they invited me down and was just like, come play with us at this tournament. And I thought, I can't do that, you know, like that's a big scary world. I haven't involved myself in that in a year. So I went, and it was the greatest time I had. And honestly, to meet a bunch of people that was there for the same reason and they just wanted to play games was great for me. Once I went to that first event, it was okay, I want to continue going. Like, it was kind of like a little fire inside of me that was just like, I need to continue going. After the first couple of events I went to, I started working, and then my journey started after that with esports and working the events from very small to what I'm in now, which is quite large.
Well, did you win any of your first competitions?
We'll not mention that.
Okay. What about you, Jasmine?
So I grew up with 2 older brothers, both of which are really, really into video games. One of them's a console gamer, one of them's a PC gamer. So I kind of had the experience of, you know, playing on PC and playing on console. But yeah, my brother, he used to play Counter-Strike Source and 1.6. So I was like also playing those different games. And he went to a LAN event. He went to an Insomnia event, and the pictures when he came back, the pictures he showed me, you know, he brought back like crates of energy drinks that were called Jolt. And like when you open the lid of those energy drinks, it was in the shape of a battery, and it was just like smoke came out the top of it.
Oh my goodness.
I was in awe. I was so young at the time. I was just like, I have to go to one of these events. So yeah, I was like playing games online. You know how it is. You just meet random people online when you're playing matches and stuff like that. We had our own little clan. We'd like grind some games and some tournaments together. But the real like part of it that kind of got me was I wanted to understand how our industry like kind of worked, how video games as a whole, like the behind the scenes and stuff like that. So yeah, I ended up studying games design and development at university. Oh, cool. Because I wanted to make games. Part of me still does. But yeah, so after while I was at uni, I was just like, I volunteered for an Insomnia event, the event that my brother had gone to. And I was like, I want to understand like what makes the event kind of work. And it literally just spiraled from there. I like volunteered an event. I learned a bunch of stuff. I met loads of amazing people. And before you know it, I met other tournament organizers, and they were asking me if I would do events for them. And it just went on from there. So it was a big like leap of faith. I remember my first event, I was absolutely terrified. I didn't know a single person there. I was there by myself. And it was just like, I feel so like, do I belong here? Who do I speak to kind of thing? I was so anxious, but everybody was super nice and welcoming. And to this day, it's the best decision I've ever made, without a doubt.
100%.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So we were talking a little bit before, and I'm saying that I used to play Call of Duty on my console, and but never really realised that there was competitions and things. And also, I think young people don't realise that there are such a massive variety of jobs within esports as well. Not just, you know, you talked about game design. So a lot of my students talk about they want to be games designers, but actually there's huge diversity in the actual number of roles that are available. So it's really great that you highlighted there that you know how you started off and what you sort of went through to get to where you are. So how did you initially sort of get your foot in the door? I know you've talked a little bit about you know, how you started, but obviously working, Stacey, you work for EGL, which is a big company. Like how did you sort of get known, get yourself promoted?
So I think it probably was maybe the 2nd or 3rd year I was involved in esports, so playing games, going to tournaments and meeting other people was kind of the 2nd and 3rd year. I was fortunate enough to kind of surround myself with the right people who worked in the industry, and they ranged from projects, you know, bringing the projects into a company, or a tournament official, or someone who was just a manager in esports. And I remember meeting this one person. He was like, "You'd be great to come work with us for an event. I want to give you a chance to do this." So I thought, okay, let's do it. You know, I'm going for it. And I spent the next 5 years being a freelance admin. That's what I did for 5 years. And I remember telling my dad, like, let me leave my job. I can do this, you know. And he was like, "You're never going to do it. You're never going to make it." Well, I've kind of proved him wrong now, but it took me 5 years, but we got there, you know. And it was kind of that 5 years was very much a learning curve, and I can't say it's easy. It's difficult, but you have to take every day as you come with an event, because you are going to make mistakes. And I learned a lot of mistakes along the way, and I've been fortunate enough to learn from them mistakes to be in the position that I am now. My really big foot in was with a company called Gfinity, and I remember going to one of their events. It was on Call of Duty Advanced Warfare, and I walked up to one of the friends that I knew that was there and was just like, "Who's your boss?" And they were like, "Well, this person." He kind of pointed to a person next to him. I walked up to that person. I says, "You need to hire me." And he was like, "Okay, like, why?" And I just fully went on from that point to see why I deserved a chance to work for this company as a freelance admin. And it was because I previously worked at a few little events, and I knew inside me, I had the confidence inside me that I knew I could do it. And he interviewed me on the spot, and within a month he hired me in as their like first group of admins that they would ask for continuous for events. He from there he asked me back every single event. I think the second event that I worked for them, he flew me to Abu Dhabi to go work an event there, you know. So it was a really big step in confidence, and a really big step in my career as a freelancer, to say, this is what I'm destined to do, this is what I'm supposed to do. And then 4 years from that, it was when I took the leap, when I thought I knew everything I could possibly know about tournament admin and managing, to take the role that I'm in now within EGL. And I took that leap December just gone. And being in the company now, I've had my moments where I've been, oh my God, I'm over my head and I don't know what I'm doing, but I've learned from them and just progressed further, which I think anybody else should do. Just have the confidence to push.
But brilliant. Thank you so much for that. What about you, Jasmine? How did you get your foot in that big foot in the door to get into what you're doing now?
My clown feet, how to get in there.
When I said it, I was like, I don't mean that.
So, no.
I should have said the big door rather than the big foot.
No, it's fine. So yeah, like I said, I started off volunteering at Insomnia, and then there were people from the person that was at Insomnia. So my first event, I was put on Rocket League. I said that I either wanted to be put on League of Legends or CSGO, and I got put on Rocket League. I had never played Rocket League, didn't know a single thing about it. And I was like, oh my God, I either go or I don't, because it's just not something I'm going to be comfortable with. But I just took a leap, and I was like, worst case scenario, you know, I meet some cool people, which I definitely did. And the person that was sat opposite me, he found out that I played CSGO, and he was like, oh, do you want to play some CS together? I was like, yeah, sure. So we're there at the LAN event after work and stuff, and we were playing CS against each other. And it wasn't until after I found out he was actually the head admin for CSGO at that event. And he was like, do you want to come and do a CSGO event with me and admin it? I was like, oh my God, yeah. So then I volunteered for Epic LAN. And then there were some people from ESL there at Epicland that kind of saw my work and what I was doing. And they were like, we'll pay you to come and admin a CSGO event for us. And at that point, I was just like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, that's cool. But I would say it took about a year of me being like a volunteer admin. Stace, when you mentioned your dad kind of saying, oh, it's not really going to go anywhere, that definitely resonates, because I was there like, you know, paying myself to go to events and stuff like that as a volunteer, because I loved our industry. I loved esports. You know, I would watch it in my spare time. And for me, it was like I loved learning more about the ins and outs of what we were doing. So yeah, I was like volunteering for about a year or so. And my parents were kind of like, are you sure this is worth it? Like, what's the point, kind of thing. And now they're just like, okay, yeah, fair enough. You were right. You were sure. Yeah, you win. But yeah, so I volunteered for quite some time. One of my friends, he had an esports org at the time. And when they were competing at events and stuff like that, I would just post on their social media for him. And he was just like, do you want to be our social media manager? I was like, yeah, okay, sure. Nice one. Yeah. And then from there, like other companies were asking me to do social media management for them. But I would say it was a lot of it, I think, is down to social media. I think your social media presence is really important. And like, obviously doing an amazing job is really important. But for me, at least, like once I had kind of set myself the goals of, I want to do an event and get paid for it. I want to do an event for a new company. I want to do an event where I have to travel across the UK. Once I had done those, I literally just put a tweet out and I was like, I've done all of the UK events I wanted to do. I want to do an international event. How do I make it happen? And out of nowhere, all of these random people I'd never spoken to before were tagging this one guy in my tweet. And he DM'd me. He was like, a lot of people seem to think that, you know, you should come and do an event for DreamHack. I was like, oh my God, someone from DreamHack has just messaged me. Oh my God, what is happening right now? And yeah, it was such a surreal experience because I was at university at the time. I had an event for Insomnia coming up and he was like, would you be down to do an event for us? I was like, oh my God, yeah, sure. Like, and he was like, are you free to fly out next weekend, like on the Monday? And I was like, oh my God, I had an event. My event with Insomnia was from Thursday till Sunday. Oh. And he was like, we want you to fly out on Monday. And I was like, I was freaking out. I was like, okay, cool. I have university. I have deadlines. I have no idea what to do. And he was like, by the way, it's 2 events. I was like, what? He was like, we would need you to fly out to Sweden and then fly out to Canada, like straight after the event. So I was like, I went straight from Birmingham NEC Airport. I flew to Sweden and then I flew to Canada straight after, like back to back. It was the most hectic time of my life. But when I explained it to my university lecturers, I was like, look, this really big opportunity has come up. They were like, okay, you know what? You're doing a course in video games. Yeah. We can let it slide. This counts as educational. So thankfully my lecturers were okay with it. But yeah, it was just literally just a spiral from there. And then again, like when I had decided it was my time, like I wanted to pursue hosting and things like that, I put another tweet out and it just went on from there. Like Epicland were kind enough to give me a shot. I had like admin loads of events for them. And yeah, it just went on from there. I was just being asked to do events, and social media, I would say, is like your biggest asset in the industry. It's a huge tool. You would know that as well, Perks. Right?
Well, yeah. A little bit, yeah. Social media, I think, is obviously it has its negative aspects, but I think it's incredible in the way that it links so many people and organisations together very, very quickly. And I think a couple of things that you picked up there were like volunteer, but do a good job. And show that you're doing a good job, and then when you're ready, make sure that you put yourself out there to get paid. And another thing I picked up about, which is about parents, and I guess so. I think if I had been your age and telling my parents that I was going to work in video games, I don't think that would have gone down quite as well. But hopefully, as people, I guess more and more parents are my age now, and actually we did grow up playing video games. And I think as the industry goes, hopefully more and more people will see there's money to be made, and content to be made, and actually there is a career path that lots of people can get into.
Yeah. I think one thing that parents usually have, like, they think that, like, my parents at least, and I know a lot of my friends, they always thought that playing video games was super antisocial. But I'm like, that's one of the most social things I have ever done in my life. I have met so many amazing people through video games, and I've learned so much about different cultures and countries. So I think that's an important thing for parents, at least to kind of try and wrap their heads around, that, you know, it's not all like, I know the media used to kind of scaremonger people into saying, you know, don't talk to strangers online, which, you know, okay, fair enough. Do not talk to strangers
online. Don't do that.
Yeah, but like if these people are actually your friends and you're playing games together, I think that's pretty social.
Yeah. And I think that, you know, there's lots that educators can do about protecting people online and knowing what is a safe relationship online and what it necessarily isn't.
Yeah.
So if we go to you running a sort of an esports tournament, what are the biggest challenges with that? Stacey, if you wanted to go first.
Oh, there's way too many. I mean, running a tournament, I think first and foremost, your challenge is your confidence. You have to have so much confidence in yourself and what you have learned previously into what event you're going to do at that time. And I see at the event at the time, you have to forget everything else, any other event that you've done, because every event is different. No two events are the same. And you have to have that small level of knowledge of being a player. And I think you need to take that player experience and run it through the tournament with you, because first and foremost is that the tournaments that we run for our side, especially for myself, is that it's about the player, not the company. It's about making sure they have a good time and they have a successful event in their eyes. And then once they've had that successful event, we've had that successful event, you know, no matter what we do, no matter how prize money it is or how many people turn up, as long as they've had a good time, we've had a good time. So first and foremost, confidence. Second is making sure that players are having a good time. Stemming from that, though, I think that it's all about surrounding yourself with the people that you know can do a good job with you. So I was very fortunate enough when I worked at Gfinity, I surrounded myself with the greatest people that I could learn from possibly. And when I was in that instance of learning from them, I kind of expanded that circle and was learning a bit about how somebody hosts or how somebody produces, you know. So I had that bit of knowledge from everywhere, that when it came to my time running a tournament or an event, I knew exactly what the producer would need. I would know exactly what a host would need. I would know exactly what a project lead would need. So it's not just knowing about the tournament and the game, it's about knowing everything else around it.
No small task.
Yeah.
What about you, Jasmine?
The most difficult part of an event? Oh God.
For me, it would be lack of sleep, I think.
I mean, you get used to it. You really get used to it. I mean, I've worked with Jasmine previously at Gfinity events. We've worked together, and I think I can say from the both of us that sleep, you seem to forget about sleep. It doesn't happen. It's all right. but the adrenaline from doing the event and making sure that it's a great event just completely takes over. And making sure you surround yourself with people that's like-minded. And to me, it's kind of 50-50 when it comes to events. You can either have a really good one or a really bad one, but there's many challenges that I could not list all of them.
Yeah, I think one like Stacey said, like you kind of get used to the lack of sleep aspect. I think it is just the adrenaline. Maybe it's also the energy drink, Stacey. I'm not too sure.
And you forget your legs. You forget your legs. You stand way too much that you forget you have legs and feet because they are numb by the end of it. So invest in a good pair of shoes if you ever want to do events.
I think also, like, if you have like people that can have a laugh that you're kind of working with, like, that's really key as well, because before you know, the time flies by. Like, we'd be on like the radio to each other, like making jokes and stuff between games. Like, it's just that kind of thing, that those little things make events go by so much quicker. But I would say probably the most difficult part of an event, for me at least, I feel like it's seeing all these people that you've seen, like, been playing games with online and chatting to and stuff, but when you're working an event, you don't get to like hang out with everybody and go to Nando's or, you know, go for a meal and everything like that because you're working. So that's like the upsetting thing. I would say also maybe we mentioned how social media is both a good thing and a bad thing. Stace, you know how many times it's happened where, you know, when you're there at an event and you're working, players have the opportunity to come to you and tell you, I have a problem with this. Could you please address this issue? But for some reason, they just kind of used to resort to posting about it online. So it's not until, you know, someone comes up to you and they're like, oh, by the way, have you seen this tweet about, you know, what they're saying? It's kind of like, oh, well, we didn't even know that was an issue. If you had kind of come to us and told us that personally, that would have been amazing because we would have resolved it then and there. Yeah. But the fact that you kind of resort to social media, I'm not entirely sure why, but I don't know. I feel like that was a big issue as well. So then it kind of turned into, you know, trying to run around a LAN hall, trying to find players and just kind of being like, oh, like, how can I help kind of thing. But hopefully people have kind of adapted from that.
It's like going to a restaurant and not liking the food and moaning about it online instead of just saying, hey, there's an issue here, and then allowing people to sort it out.
I think a really frustrating point as well is when you've solved the issue, but the issue still ends up being online on Twitter, and you're like, we solved this issue, everything was fine, you were happy, and then all of a sudden you're not happy. So what's the problem now? You know, and just to stem from Jasmine's point about seeing your friends, it's about knowing when to draw the line of being like, yes, they are my friends and they're playing in this tournament, but I am here to work the tournament. So you have to differentiate the two. To be, I can't give you like special treatment because you're a friend, you know. We have an integrity to keep up.
That must be really difficult.
We had one event where I was at an Insomnia event again. My friend Taylor, if you're watching, he brings this up all the time. Okay, we've been friends for like years now, maybe 5+ years, and he'll never let me forget. There was an event where we had a random team show up, and you know, they kind of picked apart our rule book. They played the game against each other, they lost, this random team, and then they kind of came over to the admin desk and they were like, we want to see the demo from that match. And we kind of weren't aware that that was even in the rule book. Like the rule book was so outdated on that like one point that we didn't know that was a thing. So we were like, oh crap, what do we do? And like we spoke to like the people higher up and stuff like that, and they were kind of like, well, it's in the rule book, we can't really do anything about it. So I had to go over to my friends and be like, please tell me you guys recorded demos, because they were kind of hesitant that they might have been cheating or something like that. And they were like, no, we're at a LAN event, like everyone can see each other's monitors, why would we record demos? And we were kind of like, okay, well, we have a problem right now, because I know I'm friends with you guys, I know that you're not cheating, but it's in the rule book, so we kind of have to disqualify you. That did not go down well at all. But luckily the other team were like, okay, we'll rematch them on another map. But then my friend's team ended up losing. So.
Oh dear.
And that random team went on to win the event. So he's never let me forget about it.
That must have been really difficult for you to deal with. Yeah. I guess difficult, but also then very easy, because you had to say, right, well, I'm a professional, and then this is what's going to happen. But you know, but then again, you had the explosion on social media of why is this even a rule in the rule book? And then it's kind of like, I don't really put together the rule book. I know I'm the face of like, you know, the admin that you kind of go to, but I'm sorry is really all you can kind of say. Well, talking about social media, like most roles, there are some misconceptions about the work that goes into those roles in esports. So people believe that social media or community management just revolves around like staring at Twitter and Facebook and posting and Instagram all day. So what are the biggest misconceptions of being an admin, a tournament admin, would you say?
Personally, from my point of view, is that we just rock up to an event, we think we are everything, and we just want to be out of there. It's not true. It takes, well, for me personally, it takes a good few weeks beforehand, or a couple of months depending. If I was a freelancer, it would take me a couple of weeks to fully know the game. And that, I mean, playing it and going through the rule book and studying the rule book to make sure that if I'm ever put in a situation where I need to make a decision, I can with 100% confidence make that decision. And I think that is the biggest misconception, is that we just rock up, we're just there to get paid, and we don't know anything about the game. It's not true.
Okay.
We all study very hard beforehand. I think that's the biggest one.
Yeah, 100%. I would probably say biggest misconception. I think it's definitely, I feel like it's 100% different for the guys who are admins and stuff, because I feel like a lot of the time the misconception, if you're a female admin, is that you just show up to stand behind players and kind of that is like, I've firsthand experienced players being like, I'm stood behind them, there's a tech issue, and like I'm like, okay, let me try and like resolve this, and they're like, excuse me, could you please go and get us an admin? And I'm just like, I was so angry in that moment, but I so very calmly just turned to him and I said, I am the admin. And he just went bright red, and he was just like, okay, I'm sorry. And it's kind of like, I feel like that is definitely one of the biggest misconceptions, that you just stand behind players and that's all you do. They don't see you setting up the PCs, doing all the network cabling, you know, making sure like the SSDs, the updates, like they don't see all the techie side of it. I've had to like literally take apart PCs at an event before and completely like refit all the different hardware in it and things like that. But of course, those are the parts that people don't see, because why would you? Because all you see is what's being broadcasted on a screen.
Yeah.
And as a player, all you see is someone that stood behind you that, you know, will try and fix stuff for you.
Yeah. I guess that hopefully, as there are more women representation as well, that people understand as well that, you know, women can do all those technical things as well as, you know, stand behind players.
Yeah, I think a great way to overcome that, from my experience, is to stand tall and kind of introduce yourself to the players that I am going to be your admin. This is who I am. I am here, you know, and to make sure that you do make a presence at that time. And I've had a few instances myself where they've looked at me as if I'm not completely capable in the slightest, and they've wanted somebody else. They've wanted my boss or whatever. And I've said, I am capable. If you just give me 2 minutes, I can solve this issue for you. It's just about standing tall with confidence to make sure you do what you need to do, because you're there for a reason.
Yeah. So do you think that, I know you've both been in esports for quite a long time, do you think that the women are well represented across the range of careers? Has it changed since you've been involved?
I mean, I'm going back like 10 years, and from the very beginning of 10 years ago, there wasn't many females around, and women, sorry. And for me, I didn't really see any women that was working the events. And it was kind of, okay, is it just because there's not many women around, or is it because they're just not being included in it? But over time, as time has went on, there's been more and more women, and it's been great. And I mean, I think I primarily at the end of GFIN was working with more women than I was men as tournament admins, which was fantastic. And it's kind of good to see them in an event and see them mixing in. But then to the bad side is that you've seen them kind of be pushed down by players and being like they don't know what they're doing. And it really knocks their confidence. And then I've seen women come and I've seen women go. And it's really sad to see sometimes.
Yeah, that happens. Like the sad reality of it is that kind of just, it happens. And I think that's why it's so important to do talks like this. And like, you know, there's a women in esports, a women in gaming kind of thing. I'm always there, because it's kind of like when I was in school and I had kind of told people, oh yeah, like I want to make video games. I had countless people, like people I thought were my friends, kind of telling me, it's a male dominated industry. Like, get that thought out of your head. Like, that's not going to happen. It's a bit of a pipe dream. So I feel like that's why it's so important now to be able to educate like the next generation and like, you know, other girls that kind of want to be involved in esports or in gaming, but don't feel like they are able to or have the confidence to, because, you know, you most definitely can do it. And, you know, if you ever need like a mentor or someone to speak to about it, or want to kind of learn more about how to go about it exactly, like, do not hesitate to reach out. Like, I myself, I'm like more than happy to give advice when and where I can. Part of my like role as a tournament manager at Insomnia is actually to train new volunteers. So I always get like really happy and really excited when it's like a female that I get the opportunity to kind of train and chat to. But the sad reality of it is, because of the way that a lot of guys will kind of look at a female in the industry, it kind of off. But
Yeah.
I'm like, it's sad to say that it happens, but I feel like the more and more women work in our industry and kind of get involved, the like less and less this will kind of happen.
I don't know if you know, but I actually teach physics. So obviously it's similar. It's a massively male dominated arena. And, you know, when I was growing up, there was very little representation of women. However, I'm so pleased now to be a physics teacher and to say to the girls who I teach that, you know, you can do a career in engineering and physics and maths and in very male dominated you know, careers, and that by doing a job in that career, you increase the diversity and you increase the how well the industry responds to women. So, you know, the more women that you see, the more women you'll get into the industry, because they will work with you and see you and be inspired by you. And I think the same goes obviously for the LGBT community and other ethnic minorities and things. I think the more representation we can get, the better that becomes through the years. So what advice would you give to a woman who is wanting to get into the in-sports industry?
Don't be shy. I've seen it all across that women are generally more shy when it comes to males, and do not be shy. Like, have the confidence in yourself. If you know you can do something in esports, don't stop yourself. Just because you see a lot more men and you see not many women, it doesn't mean you don't belong there. You know, just push yourself in. And I think when I tell my story and saying that when I first put my foot in, I just walked straight up to somebody and said, you need to hire me, because I knew for a fact I could do it. So if any advice I could give to someone, no matter who you are, you can do it. As long as you have the confidence and not be shy about it, you can do it.
What about you, Jasmine? What's your top tip?
I'm not as confident. Okay, well, like my confidence, like the more I've been doing like hosting and being on camera and stuff, my confidence has really grown from there. I was definitely not as confident as I am now. I was super shy. If I went to an event for the first time, I'd never worked before, I was kind of like, I don't know who to talk to kind of thing. So I guess I kind of feel a lot more like if someone is shy, that's okay. I think the important thing is like, I had no experience casting before. And I was kind of like, oh no, like, what if I'm not good enough? You know, what if I can't do it? Why should I do it? They're probably not going to pick me up anyway. And I had the backing of my friends to kind of be like, you know what, worst case scenario, you don't get it. Best case scenario, you do. You don't know until you try. And you don't want to look back like, you know, 5 years from now and think, oh God, like, I really wish I had, or, oh, I wonder what would have happened if I had. And that's kind of always my mentality of, I hate living with the thought of what if, like, what if I had just taken the chance? Yeah. What if I had given it a shot? And you know what? It was from the what ifs and the finally going for it that I was just like, you know, my first time applying for a casting gig, I got it and I flew out to Bulgaria and it was insane. So for me, it's a lot of like, even if you are shy, please don't let that deter you or put you off, you know. I was that shy person and I had the backing of my friends to kind of push me forwards. And you know what, like, it doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what your background is. I will more than happily be that friend. I will more than happily, you know, if you got a show reel, if you need, you know, help understanding how things work, if you want to get into the industry but don't know how, like, I will more than happily be that person for you. So don't feel like, you know, if you're shy, you can't go to an event and be around all these guys. It's okay. I would more than happily, like, you know, help guide people in the right direction and stuff like that. So I think a lot of it is networking. Yeah, just make sure you reach out to people and kind of educate yourself and try your hardest at the end of the day. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what's the worst someone can say? No.
Yeah.
You know, it's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
You know, there's always going to be something else out there. It's such a growing industry that there's always something. So
yeah, exactly. Like I went from admin, like, this is like, I've done admining, tournament management, social media management, hosting, casting, like, you name it. Like, I do streaming. There's so much opportunity in our industry. Don't let yourself kind of be put in this bubble, because I feel like that's kind of what happened with me, because I was known as the admin for so long. It was so hard to kind of break out of that mold of, okay, well, companies will only hire you as an admin because they know that, okay, you can do your job as an admin. So I think just make sure, you know, don't limit yourself in what you're doing. Don't feel like, oh, but I'm not a very, you know, techie person. We have amazing esports photographers. We have videographers. We have production teams. We have, you know, there's so many people behind the scenes. So don't allow yourself to kind of be limited by, oh, okay, well, I don't know anything about video games. Okay, cool. You could be really good at photography. You could be really good at video making, production, social media management. There's loads of opportunities out there.
Yeah. I think I don't know. I suffer quite a lot from anxiety, and when I was asked to do the work for Cloud9, like it was quite a big thing for me. But I just said yes, and I think I just was like, yeah, I'll do it, and then I'll just deal with whatever feelings I have about it afterwards. So I think, yeah, saying yes to opportunities is really important, and I think also doing a really good job. So if someone's relying on you to do a good job, then make sure, this is in any job, I guess, just make sure you do it. Make sure people can rely on you, because then you'll get more and more opportunities. So yeah, brilliant. Well, we've got some questions from the audience, if you wouldn't mind answering some of them. I'll try and pick some out. So I've got one here. It says, howdy Stace, Jasmine and Emily. What's been your favourite event that you've worked on or been to spectate? So if I start, I've never been to a LAN event ever. I was invited.
Yeah, I was literally about to say that has to change. Yeah,
so I was invited to the British Esports event last week, I think it was, but I couldn't go. But I would love to go to a LAN event, because I've seen now the photos of what happened and it just looks incredible. And I would absolutely love to go and see Cloud9 play a LAN event. I was also invited to Iceland to go to the MSI tournament as well by Iceland. They wanted me to go and do some work for them for the tourist board, which is very weird. But I couldn't go in the end because of COVID. But that would have given me the opportunity to see them play. So I would love to see them play on the stage. I think that would be my ultimate.
Yeah.
What about you, Stacey? What's been your favourite
I'm going to be cheeky and say two.
Okay.
My very first foreign event, which was Formula One Abu Dhabi, which is, we flew over the time when the F1 was on, and we held an F1 esports event at the same time. So that was by far probably my favorite. My second one is definitely the one that I've just finished. We done a whole project with Activision on Warzone, and considering I've been in this role since December now, been from the start, which was thinking of the idea, pitching the idea, getting it, and then working closely with Activision, and then executing the event. I think that them two have definitely probably been my favourite, from just working as an admin to then managing the whole thing. Was my two.
Damn, that's a good answer.
Yeah. Top that one.
I can't pick one event. I don't even think I could pick two. I would say I know one of them, the Face It Major. That was just because that was my ultimate goal. I had set myself a goal of, okay, I've done DreamHack, ESL, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I want to do a CSGO major next. And I put a tweet out, again, social media. I put a tweet out and I was like, I'm not going to give up until I admin a major. And exactly 1 year later, I was doing a major. And that for me completely blew my mind. I was in the booth when Astralis won. I felt all the emotion, the screams, and the players shaking. And after they won, they gave me a hug. I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on. Okay, you're really hyped right now. Yeah, I would say the Face It major, but then also my first hosting event at Epic Land, maybe, just because for me that was a huge leap of, okay, people are not going to view me as just an admin anymore. Actually, can I say every hosting event?
You just love them.
Yeah, honestly, the adrenaline is amazing. And it's like, you learn so much about the different players. And when you're interviewing them, you get to pick their brains apart and actually understand their decision-making and their actual emotion, as opposed to how was the game kind of thing. It's really insightful. I think I'm just going to go with every hosting event I've ever done. That one.
I've actually got a question here for you, Jasmine. It says, it's from Will Gleedy, I think that's how you say it. Who is the greatest CS player you have met?
aside from me. No, I've met a lot of CS players. Damn, I've literally got like 6 or 7 mouse mats that all of the players have like signed, and I'm gonna get them framed and everything. But
you know, they pile them up like the Princess and the Pea and the mattresses. Have your mouse up here.
I'm gonna have to eventually, right? I'll run out of wall space soon. Yeah, I've met Device, Simple, Zywoo, Kenny S. Like, I don't know, there's just loads of players. Yeah, like literally T1 players. So yeah, run with that. A lot of players.
And I've got one here for you, Stacey. What's been your favourite memory based on the opportunities that adminning has given you? So it says outside the game itself. So your favourite memory sort of outside the game.
Oh, that's a good question. I think the first thing that pops to my head was a CWL event that we did in London. And I think it was like 6 years previous to that. The one thing I wanted to do was work in a big Call of Duty event. It was my one goal that I wanted. And I remember at the end of that event, Jasmine, you worked there as well.
Was that when you were crying?
Yeah, I cried at the end of it because it was just the one thing that I wanted to do. And I done it. You know, that was the goal that I needed. And I remember standing there at the end when everything was packed away and everything was gone and everyone was leaving. And we were stood there in a little group, and I honestly cried because it was just the best memory probably I could possibly have.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. So good question here about for young people starting out in the industry. It says, how did you manage your time between volunteering and your other responsibilities? I know, Jasmine, you mentioned that you were at university and volunteering at the same time. So certainly as a full-time teacher, mother, and then now have this other esports career thing, it's quite difficult to manage all of that time. And play games as well. Like, so how did you guys manage to do that?
This kind of question I can't really answer, simply because I took the biggest leap and just kind of left everything else behind and just wanted to do esports. You know, I was working at the time, so I was like, okay, I'm going to leave that. I was out of university, so I didn't have to think about that. I solely just put 100% my focus in esports, and you kind of can see that I had the responsibilities of my family outside of this and my own mental health, which I did take into consideration, but I fully just dove myself into esports, and that was the only thing that I did. So,
okay. Not helpful to me.
Not helpful in the slightest.
But maybe helpful for the younger people who, you know, they wouldn't have an alternative.
I mean, yeah, if you know your passion, I think you should 100%
definitely.
dive into it.
Yeah.
I don't really think I've been able to manage my time well, if I'm completely honest. I feel like this is just a common occurrence with esports and our industry. The thing is, like, yeah, I just ended up having no social life at university, to be completely honest. Like, Mondays and Tuesdays, I was adminning for one company. Wednesdays and Thursdays was for another company. And then I had Friday, Saturday, Sunday to try and catch up on all the university work from lectures and stuff that I had missed. So it was a lot of, and then when you add on like, oh, okay, I have to travel to another country for an event, I don't know, it was just really tricky. I didn't really have much of a social life.
Yeah,
but like,
you have to eat and, you know, go shopping and clean and all those sorts of things as well. It's really hard.
Yeah, but like,
shout out to the mums out there who do around, because I would have been lost without mine.
For real. Huge shout out to my mum. I would say now, though, I think I'm getting slightly better with managing my time. I wouldn't say I'm great. I live, like, everything that I do kind of goes on a calendar. If I've made plans to hang out with someone, that goes on my calendar. If I'm doing an event, that goes on my calendar. But just because it kind of happens so quickly and builds up so fast that you kind of struggle to keep track of everything. I had booked to go to the spa like months ago now, but every time I just end up cancelling it with my friend because we have events coming up left, right, and centre, and they're so last minute. So I think it's just put everything on a calendar. Don't lose track of what you're doing. But I'm the biggest hypocrite for saying this, but do make sure that you take breaks, because breaks are very, very important. And one of these days I will finally get a break.
So, I mean, I'm not one to talk about managing my time, because I actually suggested the date for this and I'm in the middle of a holiday. So I've had to drive home to do this, and then I'll be going back on holiday. So yeah, I think managing time in any sort of role is incredibly important. And as I get older and forget more things, then a calendar is invaluable. I just got time for a couple more questions. One for Stacey. It says you've worked in events but also competed in all female teams. Like, as a newbie to esports, I've noticed that there are very few pro girls teams. I know about Cloud9 White, and that's probably about it. So the question is, what's your advice to aspiring female pros?
Oh God, I wasn't a pro, so I couldn't tell you. No, I mean, it's very male dominated in esports and in games. It's all about just asserting yourself. Don't be scared, in a sense, because I remember going to my first event with an all-female team and being terrified of those who I was going to play against, you know. And as much as I want to say they're nice, they're sometimes not, you know. I remember one team standing up and shouting at us because we're women, you know, and that was it. And it's not that we lost terribly. I mean, we did lose, but we didn't lose terribly bad. But it was kind of, you just need to get over that hurdle. And from my perspective, in Call of Duty, Emmy is probably the best example for it. She puts herself in male teams, and she makes sure on social media that she's known, and she plays religiously. So if you just have to put in the same amount of time as a male would, then as a woman, you know, and really kind of forget the fact that you're a woman.
Yeah, but also stand up for the fact you're a woman at the same time.
Stand up, yeah, because you're not going to get anywhere otherwise. And shout out to Emmy, because I think she's been the biggest influence for a lot of girls in the same in doing this, because she has really done what we're supposed to do.
Okay, the last question is, one of the hardest areas in freelancing is knowing your worth or knowing what to charge. What advice can you give those with this area?
I think it's it's kind of a hard question, because I didn't actually volunteer any of my events to begin with. I was fortunate enough to be told, you're going to get paid this amount.
Okay.
And I took that amount, you know, and over time has grown, I would say my price has increased. And I think it's just about researching other people. So if someone came to me, was like, how much were you charging? I'll happily tell you. I don't mind, because you need to start somewhere. You need to know where the baseline is. And for example, when I bring admins in to work for my events, I'm like, okay, what is your amount? Or I can give you this amount, knowing they're probably getting a little bit less than that, because I want to give them to know that they are worth this amount.
Okay.
So it's kind of a difficult question, just asking the right people and making sure that you're not just getting taken advantage of, because it does happen.
Yeah. And Jasmine, anything to add?
I would say, yeah, of course, ask people. But I found, at least from volunteering, when I got offered my first paid gig, and then another company offered me a paid gig, I noticed that was more than the first company had kind of offered. So it's kind of like, the more events you do, you can kind of compare the pricing of different companies against each other. And then also think about how many days it is. If, you know, you have to pay for your travel yourself, if you have to pay for your hotel yourself, weigh up all of these things as well. I think that's really important. Make sure you ask the correct questions, and don't be afraid to kind of challenge people, because I know loads of people who are kind of volunteering or like doing events, and the companies would be like, you have to pay for your travel yourself, you have to, you know, pay for everything yourself. And it's kind of like, okay, but if you're volunteering, you're kind of doing that company a favor. So I think it's really important to don't be scared of asking questions or requesting things. Like, worst case scenario, they say no, you know, ask them if they're going to be providing your travel and things like that. And like Stacey said, don't hesitate to kind of ask us, you know. My DMs are open. Stacey, your DM's open.
Yep, they are.
There we go.
Yeah, so because I've done some work, and it was really difficult for me to know like what the worth of that was. So I asked someone that I trusted, like, so they're asking me to do this, is it a paid thing, should I do it for free or whatever. So I think yeah, definitely finding someone that you trust that you can ask is really important.
Yeah.
So I think that's all we've got time for today. Massive thank you, Jasmine and Stacey, for your time on the stream today.
Right.
Hope you have a lovely rest of the day.
Thank you for having us. Yeah, me too.
Okay, take care.
Thank you.
Do you have any shout outs? Yep.
Oh, well, I think I just want to shout out to every woman out there who is trying to get into esports. You know, like, you can do it no matter what someone says to you, you can do it. And like Jasmine said, my DMs are open, Jasmine's DMs are open. So just really push. If you have a question, please feel free to message. And I want to shout out to a couple of individuals that will know who they are in the Gfinity for giving me that opportunity to begin with, because I wouldn't be in this position now if it wasn't for them. So I appreciate them.
Oh, that's really cute.
Oh, nice.
Obviously, a huge shout out to all the women who work behind the scenes to make esports what it is. You know, we're the three that's on camera, but there are a lot of people that do work behind the scenes, you know, in production and, you know, event management and things like that people don't often see, and, you know, they don't often get the credit that they deserve. So this huge shout out to them. And my family, of course, for, you know, doubting things at first, but then finally admitting that esports.
I forgot about my dad.
Yeah. And also a huge shout out to all of my friends and all of my community members on my Discord. Everyone is always super supportive, and, you know, they're kind of the people that encourage me to go for events and give me feedback on my show reel and things like that. And they know who they are. So yeah, a huge shout out to them as well.
Oh, thanks. Thank you so much for that. That's brilliant. I'd like to shout out to Luca, Cloud9 Perks. Sorry for riding your coattails for about 7 months now. But I'd also like to shout out to all my fans on Twitter and things. I know, like, we have this very strange relationship about my very random life that I post about. But thanks for all the support, guys. And thanks to the British Esports Association for all your support as well. And I'm really happy to be involved in an event like this where we're talking about promoting women and diversity in esports. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having us.
You're welcome. Welcome. So thank you to everyone who joined in today's stream, and for those of you who submitted your questions. Sorry we couldn't get through them all, but yeah, it was very much appreciated. If you want to keep up to date with more news around women in esports content, make sure you follow the British Esports across their social media pages. And that's all been posted in the chat. Remember, you can keep up exclusively with all women in esports content by joining their very own Discord server, which I did not know existed and will be joining later today, which is also in the chat. If you want to follow me for very random content involving Cloud9, guinea pigs, education, going on holiday in a caravan, you're more than welcome to. My Twitter handle is @Perks, PERKZ. If you want to follow Cloud9 Perks, it's got a C9 at the start. I've been Emily Perkins, your host for today, and I really look forward to seeing you guys on future streams. Take care.